Have you ever looked at your bank account and felt a quiet wave of fear wash over you? Not because you spent recklessly, not because you were lazy, but because no matter how hard you worked, the numbers never seemed to move in your favor. This is the story of Kenji, a young man living in a crowded city, working long hours, earning just enough to survive, but never enough to feel secure. Every month followed the same painful pattern. Salary arrived, bills consumed most of it. Debt took another bite, and what remained disappeared before the month ended. Kenji wasn't irresponsible. He wasn't buying luxury cars or expensive vacations. He was simply trapped in a cycle that millions understand all too well. Every morning he woke with the same question: will I ever get ahead? One evening, after another stressful day, Kenji sat in a small bookstore searching for answers. That's when he discovered a simple word: Kaizen. Kaizen means continuous improvement through tiny daily steps. Not giant transformations, not overnight success, just small progress repeated consistently. At first, Kenji laughed. How could tiny changes solve such a massive financial problem? His debt felt like a mountain. His salary felt like a pebble. But something inside him whispered a different question. What if the mountain wasn't climbed in one leap? What if it was climbed one step at a time? The next morning, Kenji made his first Kaizen decision. Not a big one, a tiny one. He opened his banking app and recorded every rupee he spent that day. Nothing more, nothing less. It took less than 5 minutes. Yet for the first time, money stopped being an invisible force. Days passed, then weeks. Kenji continued tracking every expense. Coffee, snacks, subscriptions, delivery fees. Tiny leaks he had never noticed before. The leaks were small, but together they were powerful. Kaizen taught him something profound. Wealth is not built only by earning more. Sometimes it begins by wasting less. So Kenji made another tiny improvement. He prepared lunch at home twice a week, not every day, just twice. Then he increased it to 3 days, then 4. The savings weren't dramatic, but Kaizen never promised dramatic. It promised progress. Months later, something unexpected happened. Kenji looked at his savings account and noticed a number he had never seen before. Growth. It wasn't thousands. It wasn't life-changing, but it was movement. And movement creates momentum. Encouraged by progress, Kenji turned his attention toward debt. Previously, he felt overwhelmed every time he looked at the total amount. Now he approached it differently. Through Kaizen, he asked a simple question: what is the smallest action I can take today? The answer was simple: an extra payment. Tiny, almost insignificant. Most people ignore small payments because they seem meaningless. But Kaizen understands that secret, small actions repeated consistently become extraordinary results. Every week, Kenji paid a little extra. Some weeks it was the cost of a meal, some weeks it was even less. But he never stopped. Something remarkable happened. His debt was not just shrinking, his mindset was changing. Before discovering Kaizen, Kenji believed financial freedom would arrive through one big breakthrough: a promotion, a lottery ticket, a miracle. But Kaizen taught him a different truth. Most lasting success is not built in dramatic moments. It is built in ordinary days. Day after day, Kenji continued making tiny improvements. He canceled one subscription he barely used. A week later, he negotiated a lower phone bill. A month later, he sold items collecting dust in his closet. None of these actions were impressive on their own, but together, they created something powerful. That's the beauty of Kaizen. It shifts your focus away from perfection and toward consistency. Most people fail because they try to change everything at once. They create impossible budgets, extreme restrictions, massive goals. Then, when life becomes difficult, they quit. Kaizen takes a gentler approach. It asks only one thing: can you improve by one small step today? That question changed Kenji's life. One evening, while reviewing his finances, he noticed something extraordinary. His debt had fallen significantly. For the first time in years, he felt lighter. Not because he was rich, but because he was finally moving forward. Progress creates hope, and hope creates energy. Soon, Kenji noticed changes beyond money. His stress levels decreased. His confidence increased. His decisions became more intentional. Kaizen had never been only about money. It was about becoming the kind of person who improves continuously. Years passed. The debt eventually disappeared. His emergency fund grew stronger. His investments began growing quietly in the background. Yet when people asked how he escaped financial stress, they expected a dramatic story. They wanted a secret shortcut, a hidden trick, a lucky opportunity. But Kenji always gave the same answer. I changed one small thing at a time. That's all. Because the greatest myth in personal finance is believing that small actions don't matter. In reality, small actions are often the only actions that last. A single dollar saved today becomes a habit tomorrow. A habit becomes a system. A system becomes a lifestyle. And a lifestyle shapes your future. So if you're struggling today, if your salary feels too small, if your debt feels overwhelming, remember Kenji. Remember that transformation rarely arrives all at once. It arrives one decision at a time, one habit at a time, one day at a time. Because financial freedom is not a destination reached in one giant leap. It is the result of thousands of tiny steps taken consistently. And today, your first step is waiting.